the Porsche Club Classic Restoracing Championship. Hello everybody, and a very warm welcome along to Oulton Park for the final two races in the 2019 Classic Restoracing Championship. It's been a busy season so far for these classic livery cars. Got underway at Donington Park, 2 visits to Brands Hatch. Last time out we were at Snetterton. The championship coming down between Porsche Centre Bournemouth and Porsche Centre Wolverhampton.
Julian, been a while since we caught up with you, so car number 10 on P10 for first race. That's not a bad position.
Usually on 10 to start off with, but work my way through the grid, going up, hopefully. Hard circuit though, this one, first time I've been on this, so let's hope we put a few more places back. So,
how's your season gone so far? How have you your development as a driver?
Quite good. I've been coming 5th in most of the races, so starting on 10th on the grid and then coming up to 5th. So I've got some good, very experienced drivers in front of us. So do my best to keep up with them, really.
So not long ago we met you at Snetterton. We had great success there. We're now P1 on race 1, so we're getting there.
Yeah, I'm starting to find a little bit more pace in the car. I've done a few laps around here previously, so I'm quite familiar with the circuit already. I still feel like there's a little bit of time in the car. As long as, obviously, if we don't get any rain, which it might look like it's a bit changeable, but I'm feeling quietly confident going into the race. Set good pace in qualifying, but obviously the 3 boys behind are all quick, so it'll be interesting.
Scott, it's been a while since we caught up with you. Now, I've got to say, Oulton Park, probably one of the best publicised vehicles. I've seen loads of little flags out there with a 55 number on it. So, how did qualifying go?
Yeah, qualifying was good. We tested 2 sessions yesterday, and we improved 2 seconds a lap in qualifying, so which is good, yeah. But big track to learn, a lot of undulation and bumpy. But yeah, hopefully the first race stays dry.
2 seconds is a lot in racing terms.
Yeah, it's a lot, but never been here before, so there's a lot to learn on the track as well.
So Matt, race 1 coming up and P2. That's a great time you've got as well. Very close time in between you and Will.
Yeah, I'm really pleased. First time on the front row for me and in this car. It's a circuit I love. So I was here a few weeks ago driving a KA. Very different, but I did at least know where it went. And hopefully I've had some good races with Will this year already. We can have one more.
Like I say, a bit of testing on the track there, even with the KA. It gets the lines right and the braking points and stuff like that, so I suppose it's good. But you've got Ben on your tail as well, so that's not going to be easy.
Ben's never far away, whatever race we do. We'll see. I'm hoping as a 3 that we're a bit ahead of 4th place in terms of qualifying times, that we can sort of make a break for it and sort it out amongst ourselves, I hope.
Well, the man who called it absolutely right was Will Heslop in his interview, saying about changeable conditions. You can see the rain is absolutely teeming down here at Oulton Park, and that means that the race is going to start behind the safety car. A wise decision as the cars come out. There might be a few changes. I think some of the drivers think it's less wet than it actually is. There is the safety car. You could probably call it a pace car in these conditions, actually, getting them up to speed ready for the start. But as I mentioned, a number of drivers coming into pit lane, and we'll be looking to change tyres. There's the work going on, and let's go through the grid. William Heslop, who did call it well, starts on pole. Matt Bird alongside, then Ben McLaughlin and Josh Morris. Alistair Nelson row 3 with Ashley White, Carl Hazelton and Ollie Coles completing row 4. They're followed by Mark McCulloch and Julian Morris. Scott Adams on row 6 with Simon Ruffle Ward, James Cannon and Stephen Shaw completing the grid. So coming through Lodge Corner and ready for the start, Will Heslop has left them and makes a very good start, single file start as you can see. So it's Heslop leading from Matt Bird. Ben McLaughlin in yellow. His 3rd sideways moment there for Matt Bird, who collects it up very well indeed. Matt racing in the Premier Panels Skills car. Remember, this championship for Porsche centres up and down the country, plus the various other approved workshop specialists such as Premier Panel Skills, Elite Motors, Shore Aid as well in the mix, and I think there'll be a whole load more for the 2020 season, and hopefully some more new drivers. Remember, this championship based around bringing new drivers as well as new teams via the various centres into racing. Now that in green there, that's the Cambridge, Porsche Centre Cambridge car. Having a look, that's James Cannon, started 13th. That car third in the championship. Remember, some of the cars shared over the course of the season. William Heslop in the 32 car has shared with Christian Short. They're racing under the Porsche Centre Wolverhampton banner. William Heslop winning last time out at Snetterton, and he is leading this race at the moment. There is Ben McLaughlin, who's got through into second. The yellow and red car, Ben McLaughlin up into second place, so Matt Bird down to third, coming under pressure from Josh Morris in the Porsche Centre Bolton car. Normally shares with Mike Thompson, who's done 3 of the 5 rounds this year. Next through is Carl Hazelton in the 24. Then James Cannon, who we've seen sharing with Paul Blakesley, who's done very well as well. Hence the car being in third place in the championship. Julian Morris in the Golf livery. Simon Ruffle Ward in the Warsteiner livery. And then Scott Adams, the Welshman. And he didn't want it to rain, as you heard in the interviews. But this is all character building for these drivers as they get the penultimate race of the championship season underway. There is Carl Hazelton. So the drivers, as much as anything else, will be learning this circuit. They're now having to learn the circuit and the conditions. Haven't had too much wet running over the course of the year. There's Ben McLaughlin, second place. Lights ablaze in third for Matt Bird. And then Josh Morris. We've got 2 Morrises here. Josh in the number 6 blue car. Julian in the number 10, the Elite Motors machine. There in 49 is Stephen Shaw, the Shore Aid car, who has had a good season, Stephen, learning his racing like many of the others. Side by side here, though, Simon Ruffle Ward looks down the inside line of Julian Morris, going into Old Hall. Morris braving it out on the outside line. Nice piece of racing between the pair of them. Scott Adams is looking to maybe challenge down the inside line as well, the third of those cars. Scott's first season in the championship, best result so far, a 6th position. That was race 1 at Snetterton, when these cars had a much busier track because they ran with the Petro Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli racers as well. So as newcomers, they've had a fair amount to deal with. Ben McLaughlin, though, is busy chasing William Heslop. Heslop, the pole position man. It was the qualifying session was a little bit of a to and fro affair, with William Heslop finally grabbing the pole position lap on lap 10. Matt Bird headed things before that, and slightly before that in the early stages, Ben McLaughlin, who of course is carrying a fair bit of ballast, being an experienced driver in the championship. We've covered that before. He was the initial pace setter. Having said that, William Heslop set the fastest lap on lap 2, and then Ben McLaughlin lap 3, Matt Bird lap 6, William Heslop back into pole. So it was a good battle between those two throughout qualifying. William Heslop, it is that leads. Now, championship-wise, the gap coming into this round, 63 points between Ben McLaughlin in yellow, the Porsche Centre Bournemouth machine, and the Wolverhampton car, which is leading the race. Now, even if Ben McLaughlin finishes second in this race, it will be enough for him to wrap up the championship. We've got 39 points on offer for this race, and over the course of the weekend, 80 odd points. So realistically, Ben just needs to finish this race to wrap up the championship. I don't think he's going to be content with that, because he seems to want to be closing in on Will Heslop. Through shot goes Carl Hazelton, Porsche Centre Chester car. You'll see the sister car to that running in the Petro Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Toby Barlow at the wheel in Class 2. Alistair Nelson having a look, and here is a move down the inside line. James Cannon nips through on the inside of Ashley White. Cambridge car passing Porsche Centre Nottingham machine. So neat move there. This is the battle for the lead though. Ben McLaughlin knows this track. Look at him working the outside line of the banking on Shell Oil's corner. And is that going to be the lead? He's got the outside, is the lead. Super move by Ben McLaughlin. William Heslop, who came into this year with a best of second position last year on the Grand Prix circuit at Brands Hatch, and he's had one retirement, but has been very quick and consistent. And that car, second in the championship, not only by virtue of Will's work, but that of Christian Short. At our second event, Brands Hatch GP this year, the car was in the hands of Christian. Gained a second place and a fourth. A good point scoring from both drivers. Up the pink, Heslop gets it sideways there at Knickerbrook. We've got a battle on for third position as well between Matt Bird and Josh Morris. Those two very much hard at it. Bird holding sway at the moment. Remember, Matt Bird won round 6 of the championship at Brands Hatch. He's had a podium at Donington Park in race 1 this year as well, so settled into this championship superbly. And great to hear the news that this championship will continue with more support, more encouragement for everybody in 2020, which is superb news. Scott Adams, first season driver, took a 6th place in round 7 at Snetterton. Ollie Coles is in behind him. Nice to see Ollie back. Had a hefty whack, you might remember, at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit. And the Coca-Cola car, Porsche Centre Swindon machine, as off and into the tyres. The tyres doing their job. Into the tyres goes Carl Hazelton, who will be our first retirement of the race on lap 5. Stephen Shaw continues on. Meanwhile, Simon Ruffle-Ward, the Leeds car ahead of the Elite Motors number 10 of Julian Morris. Julian, as you heard, starting 10th here, maintaining the status quo. Very good news to see the 24 car back out on track and trying to limp back to the pit. So the car is okay. Well, the car not looking too happy, but nonetheless good that Carl Hazelton's car wasn't stuck in the tyre barrier, necessitating a safety car. And Carl's done a good job to get the car back home into the safety of pit lane here at Oulton Park, and hopefully we'll be back out in time for race 2. Fingers crossed. Sideways moment again from Will Heslop. It just goes to show Will is really exploring the limit of the car in the wet here, and fair play to him for doing that. There is Alistair Nelson, shared the Wilmslow car, local circuit of course, sharing the Wilmslow car this year with Sam Beckett. Alistair, another driver who has only done one round so far this year and beat his previous best of 5th place from 2018. Had a podium at Donington Park round 2. That's what this is about for many of the drivers, is improving their lot, as it were, as the season continues. There is Josh Morris. Seems to have been shaken off a moment by Max Bird. Josh in 4th place. So clear circuit for him. There is Ollie Coles. Nice to see the 39 car out again. Ollie did bring that car home for a podium in race 2 at Snetterton. So a little bit away from the pace at the moment, the former MG racer, as we watch James Cannon. James running in 5th place. There is Ashley White in 6th. Cambridge car in green is looking to pull in another good result. Here is the race leader, Ben McLaughlin, getting away. Ben with the fastest lap of the race thus far as well. So the 86 car will wrap up the championship here if he takes the win. In fact, even if he just finishes, but he wants to wrap up the title in the best circumstances possible. Here is Stephen Shaw, debut season driver, and on his day a good top 10 finish, a 7th in round 1, 8th position in round 3, The fastest lap incident has been traded between William Heslop on the first flying lap. He was then passed by Ben McLaughlin. Matt Bird's had a go at fastest lap as well. At the moment, William Heslop there in the 32 car is holding sway with the fastest lap, but doesn't seem to be able to close in. When he sets that faster lap, Ben McLaughlin seems to respond, and this is going to put the Porsche Centre Bournemouth car clear of 300 points in the championship. Little problem there going into the chicane for James Cannon. That car, incidentally, as we heard in previous rounds, prepared by Paul Blakesley, the other driver of the car. A little issue there for Ashley White, who shares the car with Wayne Minogue. Wayne getting 2 podia at Brands Hatch Grand Prix, a 5th position in round 7 at Snetterton. So that car running well in the championship. As I say, it's the Porsche Centre Bournemouth leading from Wolverhampton, then Cambridge, then Bolton. Mike Thompson and Josh Morris 4th. Wayne Minogue and Ashley White in 5th place, ahead of the Wilmslow car in the championship. Alistair Nelson and Sam Beckett sharing that car. But nice little battle unfolding here. The Cambridge machine looking good and looking to consolidate that 3rd position in the table. So it could well all go down to the last race, round 10 of this year's championship. This is round 9. And I tell you what, we've seen some great driving out there in very, very difficult conditions. The show could have been stopped, but they've cracked on with it. Alistair Nelson closing up on Scott Adams. Good battle between those two. Julian Morris immediately in front of them at the moment. Scott's having a look down the inside line. Julian giving him room. This is for 8th place. Problems for Ashley White, appropriately in White, spins around. Not sure if he's going to lose any more places. He's recovering fairly quickly. The field relatively spread out at this stage, with Ben McLaughlin still out front. In the 86 car, had 5 wins in succession, rounds 1 to 5. 2nd position in the 2nd race at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit. Remember, had an excursion into the gravel, as did Matt Bird. On that occasion, Ben McLaughlin was the first driver to go through that. Now, Ben driving well, Will Heslop driving very well too in 2nd position. Much more of a newcomer with Ben McLaughlin, but remember, to counter that, Ben carrying a fair amount of ballast. So Julian Morris in the number 10. Scott Adams still busy chasing him down. There is Scott in the Cardiff machine. Then Alistair Nelson in the Wilmslow car. That's not, I don't think, going to close in on 4th position in the championship in this race. Up ahead of them, Simon Ruffle-Ward, we just saw going through, shot in the gold Warsteiner livery. He's running in 7th place, ahead of Ashley White, who we saw had that gyration, and Ashley still safe in 6th place. James Cannon in 5th in green. And then back to this battle with Scott Adams still giving chase. This is for 8th place. Beg your pardon, the 21, Alistair Nelson giving chase to Scott Adams and Julian Morris. And we might conceivably see a challenge and maybe a change of position before the end of this race. Not sure about the lead though, which is still with William Heslop in terms of fastest lap. Ben McLaughlin leading, but William has a little moment going on through the chicane, trying really hard, everything in his armoury to try and close down on Ben McLaughlin. I was just looking at clouds in the distance, sideways moment there for Julian Morris, who loses momentum. Scott Adams is going to have a look. Alistair Nelson's coming up as well. Adams on the inside line in silver is, I think, going to take the position. This is for 8th place. Lovely piece of racing between the two of them. Carefully does it. Good pass by Scott Adams, who now, in his racing experience book, has got a pass in a Porsche at Oulton Park in the teeming wet. Superb stuff from him. William Heslop is closing up actually on the race leader, so Heslop, as evidenced by fastest lap. Here's the battle for 8th, and it's going to be Alistair Nelson who will resume, or will take up the challenge to try and get past Julian Morris for 9th place. Ben McLaughlin is now on to the last lap. Heslop again quicker on that lap. and Ben McLaughlin can see him in the mirrors. This is the lap where possibly, and it does look as if Ben McLaughlin is going to wrap up the championship, because he has a 63-point lead already. There are not 63 points on the table for race 2. Here is Josh Morris running in a very lonely 4th place at the moment, but another good drive from Josh Morris. Josh's best lap time at 2 minute 21. There's a big difference in some of the lap times between the more experienced drivers. And remember, experience can be previous experience or just more racing in this championship in the shared cars. Comes Scott Adams, eighth position, a hard-earned 8th place for the 55 car. It's going to be a 3rd top 10 finish of the year for Scott, and just 2 places shy of his best finish, which was round 7. There is James Cannon in the immaculate Cambridge car, comes out of Deer Leap onto the main straight. So Julian Morris in the number 10 trying to close down on Scott Adams, but not having a lot of luck. It looks as if that position is settled now, with Alistair Nelson right behind him. Ollie Coles gets passed by the leader Ben McLaughlin, so Ben's now got a little bit of not only space but also another car between himself and William Heslop. In 2nd place, they come out of Druids and head up towards Lodge Corner for the last time. Ben McLaughlin will negotiate this, go through Deer Leap. Blue flag being shown for Ollie Coles, who is keeping to the outside of the track, very mindful of Heslop. Super driving by Ollie Coles, well done Ollie. But it's going to be a win and a championship for Ben McLaughlin. Congratulations to Ben. Will Heslop is there in 2nd place. Another great drive by Will. McLaughlin got the fastest lap on the last tour as well, responding to the pressure from Heslop. 3rd position will go to Matt Bird. Here is Matt. A lonely 4th position, a little bit further back, was Josh Morris. James Cannon finishing 5th ahead of Ashley White and Simon Ruffle-Ward. Scott Adams 8th from Alistair Nelson, who got ahead of Julian Morris. Julian completing the top 10. Confirmation of Ben's fastest lap. Ollie Coles and Stephen Shaw complete the finishes here from race 1 at Oulton Park.
2019 Classic Restoracing Champion. That's got a good ring to it.
It has, hasn't it? It's the first one. You're the first person to actually say that to me, actually. So it feels great. I'm really happy, of course. Porsche Centre Bournemouth are ecstatic, and it's just lovely to bring it all together. You know, all the other guys are getting faster and faster, as I've said to you in the past. I've qualified 3rd on the grid, but with it being a wet race, all the rain came down in the collecting area. I was just a little bit of expertise in the wet and knowledge served me well, so I was able to get into the lead after 2 or 3 laps, I think, and then pull away gently and just sort of sit there and relax and bring the car home. But now we have the second race coming up in an hour or so, and it's dry, so there's 2 people around me that are doing exactly the same lap times, if not slightly quicker. With the weight we have in the car, it's just slowing us a little here. So we'll see where we finish in the last race, but the pressure's off, isn't it, now? So I'm just going to go and have some fun, do whatever we can do. We will see how the race goes.
Well done, look forward to seeing it, and extremely well done on the championship.
Thank you very much, it feels great. Cheers.
Fantastic race there. Now, pole position. It didn't take long for Ben to sort of give you a bit of stick.
No, I think obviously he must have just gone a little bit softer on the settings than me, and he just reeled me in. As soon as he got past, it obviously started to dry then, so that my settings come back in, but every time I tried to push a little bit harder, I just went a little wide, or I lost a little bit of time. So in the end, it was just a bit of a stalemate between us. I couldn't really gain, he wasn't really pulling away. I was quite happy with the progress that I made in 3rd place, so away from 3rd place, so I thought I'll stick to what I've got. I'm happy with a 2nd place in these conditions anyway.
Matt, that worked out pretty well. Interesting race. Just tell us about it from your point of view.
It's probably the most terrifying race I've ever done. Just having the wrong tyres in that weather, not being able to see. I messed up the start. I wasn't told we were going to be going rolling start. So I saw Will disappear and I thought, we probably need to get going. But I think it was a case of keep it on the track and see what happened, really. Josh was catching me behind in 4th, but then he fell off. And then I was far enough kind of behind Will. I thought, stay where I am and hopefully bring it home, because it was pretty sketchy at points.
So dry one hopefully coming up. Try and get another podium.
I think that's the plan. Yeah, we all know what we're doing in the dry, I think. So fingers crossed.
Well done.
Thank you.
Now, James, a very good first race, especially considering the conditions. Started virtually at the back and came 5th.
Yeah, it was a really heavy rain. Sitting here waiting to go out for the first race, it just started coming down in absolute buckets, and we basically exploited it, having qualified in second last place. Managed to finish in 5th. Did take quite a few cars just at the first corner. There was a huge amount of spray, so I just aimed for where I couldn't see any brake lights and started braking once I'd gone past them. Took about 4 cars in the first corner and then just slowly picked off a few more, but I was glad when it came to an end because we were really running out of grip. Nottingham and myself were having quite a few little scraps and we both fell off a couple of times. So yeah, really pleased to finish where we did. Hopefully tying the championship up for us in 3rd place, hopefully.
So Mark, gleaming looking machine there, but we didn't see you in race 1. What's the story there?
We had a gearbox problem in qualifying, lost all drive, and subsequently found it was the gearbox that was shot. So we've sourced one locally, and the technicians have changed it in the time between the qualifying and race. So
that's an amazing feat, actually.
Very, I'm proud of the boys. They've pulled it right out of the bag for me. So, yeah, very proud of them.
But you're sort of going out a bit cold then, really?
A little bit, but we had good qualifying and we tested yesterday with very competitive times. So I'm quite confident as long as the rain holds off, which I think it will. So, yeah, I think we'll do all right.
Excellent. And how do you think the season's gone so far?
Very good. I think a lot of it is a lot of the camaraderie between the guys, meeting lots of new people, the families that come along. The boys are all great, and there's a good bit of rivalry, but it's not too serious. So yeah, I like it. It's very good place to be.
And your own driving style of racecraft, how has the progress been?
Learned a lot, very steep learning curve, but I think you get a bit apprehensive when you first go into a new track. But knowing what we do now, at the end of the year, I can't wait to get out if we do it again next year. Just look forward to the tracks now. You don't get a bit daunted, you just get back out there. That's what you want to do.
Great work from the last man we heard from, Mark McCulloch, and the Porsche Centre Hatfield team getting him out on track. Ben McLaughlin starts on pole with William Heslop alongside Matt Bird and Josh Morris, row 2. Alistair Nelson, Ollie Coles next up from Carl Hazelton and Julian Morris. Row 5, Ashley White with Simon Rufflewater to his outside, James Cannon and Stephen Shaw next from Scott Adams and Mark McCulloch. Lights out and a great start by William Heslop. It's a completely different race. Ashley White making some progress, and they're side by side down into Oulton, but Ben McLaughlin takes it. A little bit of dust being put down to soak up some fluids from an earlier race, and that's what we worry about here. That's why we had the safety car start in race number 1. 2 cars gyrating at Oulton, in car with Alistair Nelson. A little bit of a wobbly moment for Will Heslop. We'll be looking to secure, it was the Porsche Centre Nottingham car, Ashley White and Stephen Shaw, who got involved, just to name check those two. Not sure they'll thank me for doing that, but that's a fairly typical thing to happen at Oulton Park in a decent field of very evenly matched cars, to be honest. Ben McLaughlin's checked out. William Heslop had a little bit of a wonky moment, but he's okay. Alistair Nelson 3rd. Matt Bird in the Premier Panel Skills car. Purple and Green machine running in 4th place at the moment. Championship-wise, it's obviously championship with Porsche Centre Bournemouth, and I think fairly well sorted between Wolverhampton and the 3rd place car in the championship, which is Porsche Centre Cambridge. A non-finish will change things, so the key thing for any of the drivers is to get the car home to the finishers right on board with Carl Hazelton. Carl 9th in the championship, so inside the top 10. That car, the Chester machine, so one of 2 relatively local centres taking part in this meeting. And I think the drivers, this is a reward for them really, the dry circuit after the issues we had earlier on. And it was, as William Heslop called it after qualifying, changeable, as you can see, back to dry. And we had some good racing in race 1, but I'm sure we're going to see more of the same without the slides here in race 2. Ben McLaughlin setting the early pace, and it's a good lap under his belt there, ahead of William Heslop. And Ben here, of course, now things are wrapped up, just racing for a little bit of fun, a little bit of pride as well for Porsche Centre Bournemouth. Here's Carl Hazelton, the car we were looking at from outfield. Those two cars recovering, still very close together as well. Ashley White doing the chasing at the moment, and it will have meant some place gains for Mark McCulloch, one of the two drivers Barry spoke to before the race. The other, of course, was James Cannon, who qualified in 11th position in this one. James Cannon, and having a go, but sadly spinning around again is the 46 car of Ashley White. I think he's going to be able to keep going, so Ashley gets going again, but has got some work to do, try and close down on Steve Shaw again. Julian Morris battling with Carl Hazelton. That is for 7th place. At the moment, it's closer here for 3rd. Matt Bird up in 3rd place now, ahead of Alistair Nelson. Nelson 5th in race, in qualifying. 9th in the race, so maintaining in his 2 meetings so far this year. Top 10 finishes, was fairly well up the order last year as well. Briefly had a look there at 55, Scott Adams, who's going to be looking to try and nail another top 10 as well. Through goes Julian Morris in the number 10. Julian qualifying in 8th place, so his 2nd best lap from the qualifying session, slightly better in terms of the others than his 1st, so starting a couple of places further up the order in this one. There is Ollie Coles busy chasing the Cambridge car. The Leeds machine of Simon Ruffle-Ward coming under pressure here from the 55 machine, Scott Adams there. Good drive in the wet from Scott, goes through D Elite. And you can see the varying levels of drivers all have other drivers to play with. Lap time's a lot closer between the field here, and again that comes back to the varying levels of experience. Most of these guys have had quite a few laps in the dry, not so much racing in the wet. I can't think of a worse place to come and race a Porsche in the wet first time than Oulton Park. Very difficult, so I commend the drivers for great driving today. We only saw the one retirement in race number 1, and that car back out on track. Carl Hazelton running well too, actually, the 24 machine here. Carl Hazelton qualifying in 7th place, so good work from the team to get him out. Here is Ashley White trying to recover after, is it 1.5 or 2 gyrations? I think it was a half gyration the second time when he was up and challenging Stephen Shaw, but making good progress as Mark McCulloch has made good progress through the 22 car from last on the grid, really getting up in the mix. So he's rewarding the work that Porsche Centre Hatfield has done on that car, as you heard in the interview with Barry, to get him back out on track. Ben McLaughlin, though, the leader and also still with fastest lap. Matt Bird having a good one here, putting some purple sectors on the timing screen, and that immaculate 35 car, which is trying to get up into the top 10 of the championship. Jamie Woods, the other driver in the car this year, but the point scoring blighted a little bit by James having a non-finished Brands Hatch Grand Prix race 1, didn't start race 2, and we didn't see the car at Snetterton either, which was a pity. So otherwise that car would have been a lot further up the order, because Matt Bird, as you heard earlier on, took a win and 2 other podia, including the podium in race number 1 here. So quick car, but hasn't scored the points. And there aren't any drop scores here, so they're only running 10 rounds. Comes Simon Ruffle-Ward in the Leeds car, and it looks to me like Mark McCulloch closing in. Mark in 10th place at the moment. Scott Adams is in 11th, so super drive from McCulloch from the back of the grid, 14th on the grid, and looks like he might be able to pedal that car up into the top 10. Still recovering is Ashley White. Ashley running in the 2:03s. The lap times the 46 car is setting here would put him well inside the top 10, but he has got that recovery to do following the 2 incidents, and we'll follow his progress throughout the course of the rest of this final race of the year. We do have another round where possibly, it's not a round, is it? Another event where these cars could guess. That's at Donington Park, the final round of the Petro Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. So we might see some of the cars coming out having a go. Talking of having a go here, looking down the inside line is Ollie Coles challenging the Cambridge car. Was a little bit too far back there in the Coca-Cola livery machine. And you can see some fine dices going on here as we approach the half distance of this final round, round 10 of the 2019 season for the Classic Restoracing Championship. Instigated a couple of years ago, but plans for that came to fruition last year. Now remember, last year Ben McLaughlin was technically a guest driver, but this year with the ballast they still managed to grab a win. And I've got to say, the organisers have worked really hard to balance things out. As through on the inside line, fine move there by Carl Hazelton on the inside line of Julian Morris. That goes up to 7th place. Good move by Hazelton. Morris isn't finishing back, so we've got Gulf versus Martini livery. Absolutely classic livery Porsche action going on here. Morris trying to get back in the mix in the Elite Motors car, which had a good season. Best result of three fifth positions, as he said in the opening interview at the start of the programme. Ben McLaughlin away. Matt Bird, fastest man on track, closing in on William Heslop. So that's why. Scrap on for second position here. Heslop would really prefer, I think, to get his head down and close down if he can on Ben McLaughlin. But at the moment, that's not possible because he's got his mirrors full of Matt Bird. Matt trying to challenge for that 10th position in the championship. If he can get that much further up, he's only potentially 2 points down on my maths by on Scott Adams in the Cardiff car. Scott holding the 10th place in the championship. Scott's had that car all to himself all year. And this is a good battle, and potentially, as I say, more points to be made up here to get Matt Bird into second position in the championship, as well as the 10th position in the championship and second position in the race. Having a look, it's a great battle for second place here at Oulton Park. Welcome back to Oulton Park. Round 10, the final race of the 2019 Classic Restoracing Championship. Through shot goes Carl Hazelton in the Porsche Centre Chester machine, followed by the Cambridge car of James Cannon. Those two dicing for 6th place. Scott Adams running well. Mark McCulloch from 14th on the grid. Busy having a look at Scott Adams. Here's a good in-car shot. Has a look up the inside line. He'll be thinking about, of course, trying to close down on Simon Ruffle-Ward in the gold Warsteiner Leeds machine as well. Through Deer Leap they go. Let's see whether Mark can make the move. First race of the day for Mark, as you will have heard from the interviews. Looks on the inside line. We saw Scott Adams pull a move there at Old Hall in race number 1, and that is not favoured returned, but fellow 3 newcomers in shot there. You can see the yellow square with the black cross. All newcomers to racing, all learning superbly. Here is Stephen Shaw. Stephen involved in that skirmish on the first corner at Old Hall, but has recovered well. And lapping not far away from what he did in qualifying earlier on. 2 minutes and 7 seconds. William Heslop is still there and trying to close in on Ben McLaughlin in yellow. Ben, the champion, is the leader. We've got Matt Bird back in 3rd place. I think Matt Bird needs to win, having rechecked my sums, Matt Bird needs to win the race in order to climb up into the top 10 of the championship. So P2 will get him closer, but he actually needs to win the race to overcome the Porsche Centre Cardiff car in 10th position in the championship at the moment, which is Scott Adams. There is Josh Morris. Josh is 2nd meeting of the season. He's going to be, another newcomer, as you can see. He'll be a little bit disappointed to be down in 5th position at the moment, having started 4th. Ashley White having a good recovery though. Remember, was stone last, but has managed to make up a fair bit of ground after those 2 incidents. Across the line comes Carl Hazelton. Then It is James Cannon in the number 80. James has had a good race, started 11th, so I missed the progress he made in race number 1, but it was good progress through the order as William Heslop continues to try and close the gap. Heslop now actually getting fastest lap of the race, so Heslop starting to get a little bit of momentum, as too did Simon Ruffle-Ward there. Scott Adams down behind them. Stephen Shaw is, I think, going to be the first driver to be passed by the leaders by the look of it. Shaw just gone out of shot. Ben McLaughlin, you can see Heslop, fastest laps, bringing him back in towards Ben McLaughlin. We may well have a battle for the lead before the end of the race. Will any of the traffic interfere with things? I doubt it. We saw great driving standards in race 1 with the drivers seeing that the faster cars were coming, saw the blue flags from the marshals as well, and respected the faster cars coming through. Ben McLaughlin will just be hoping, I think, that the cars that he's going to pass will be reached when they're on a straight bit of circuit, which will be fairly handy for him rather than on twists and turns. And Stephen Shaw, I think, has seen them. He's keeping to the outside line. Lovely driving by Stephen. Meanwhile, we go back to Alistair Nelson, having a good run here. Alistair Nelson started 5th, running in 4th place. Good gaggle of cars with Mark McCulloch having now cleared Simon Ruffle-Ward and up into not only the top 10 but in 9th position, because the car in front of him, we're hearing, Ollie Coles, has got a penalty for exceeding track limits. So, common problem on MSV tracks, and well, we can't argue with officials. We can't argue with the fact we've got a race going on here for the lead. William Heslop is he'd love to go out of the season with a win. So too, though, with Ben McLaughlin. So the fight is on for first position in the closing stages of the championship for this year. Ben McLaughlin out front. William Heslop has popped in a succession of fastest laps, and he's having a look. We switch away because Ollie Coles now coming under pressure from Mark McCulloch. Coles leaving room, nice respectful racing, maybe a little bit too much room there. Obviously doesn't want to have contact, goes wide, no damage done for him though, rejoins the circuit safely, but loses the place. Mark McCulloch now up into 9th position on the road. Was there on the timing screen anyway. William Heslop, that move didn't pay off, goes through Deer Leap. Now, where can he gain momentum and possibly make the pass? Looks to the inside, now goes back to the outer limits. This is about trying to get momentum through Old Hall and down through Dentons and Cascades. Maybe have a look at the left-hander at the bottom of the hill. I think that momentum has probably been extinguished now. Coming in towards the left-hander, which will take them along Lakeside. You can see why it's called that. Then it tightens up as they go up towards the Shell Oil's banked hairpin. Meanwhile, coming down from Hilltop into the Hislop's chicane, this group of cars that are having a really good battle of things. There is Ollie Coles coming under pressure now from Simon Ruffle-Ward for 10th place. The battle for the lead still on. They ride the curbs, going through Britons up towards Hilltop once again. Potential overtake here, but look where McLaughlin's put the car, coming down the hill, pops it over to the left of shot now, but Heslop goes through round the outside line where there was a gap, had momentum. Super move by William Heslop into the lead. Superb stuff round the outside line of Ben McLaughlin. And now we'll go up Clay Hill, but it looks like we might have 2 different winners here at Oulton Park for our final event of the season. Well done to the man currently fastest on track, William Heslop. Well, you heard Ben saying about the ballast earlier on, and the organisers trying to make things as fair as possible in this championship with the more experienced drivers. So Heslop is in front. Matt Bird still there in 3rd place, a little bit distant at the moment. So I think it's going to be 11th position for the Premier Panel Skills car in terms of the championship points, as across the line the 2 leaders go again. Ben McLaughlin onto the last lap, has not finished yet by any stretch of the imagination. Heslop the leader, and Are we going to get a last lap change of position? They're heading down the hill again, and Ben all over the back of William Heslop, the champion, with a second place car. Was there a little mistake there from Heslop? And looking down the inside line, and now the leading car gets all squirrely off through the barrier and off the circuit. Is he going to be able to rejoin? He's lost second position as well. Heslop on the tarmac, rejoining just behind the marshal's post, and he's back on track, but in third place. So it's Ben McLaughlin who now leads this one, but the lead over Matt Bird is significantly less now. So McLaughlin leading, Bird second, William Heslop third, Alistair Nelson in fourth place as we watch Mark McCulloch ninth, Simon Ruffle Ward in 10th position, then Scott Adams in 11th. They've got another lap to do, those guys. Here is James Cannon, who is going to wrap up third position in the championship. It will be McLaughlin the champion, Porsche Centre Bournemouth, second position Porsche Centre Cambridge, third position Cambridge, second position Wolverhampton, as we ride on board with Carl Hazelton. Carl in 7th position, James Cannon in 6th from 11th on the grid, so has made good progress. There is Ollie Coles, who's got that penalty, and Ashley White on the timing clock ahead of him, so Ashley White from 14th has recovered up to 12th. Here is now what's the battle for the lead, and it's Ben McLaughlin out front and going under the Paul Warwick Bridge, coming up to our camera point here at Lodge Corner. Big pressure from Matt Bird, who also wants the win, but Ben McLaughlin surely, as they go through Lodge and down Deer Leap, has done enough to secure a double here at Oulton Park, our final weekend. Such a shame for William Heslop, who led going on to the last lap. McLaughlin though takes the win, Matt Bird second, William Heslop still is in third place, around about 10 seconds behind after his recovery. There is William Heslop in third place. Alistair Nelson will take fourth. That's the second place man in the championship confirmed for you. Close stuff behind. Here's the result. Ben McLaughlin from Matt Bird, William Heslop, then Alistair Nelson fourth from Josh Morris and James Cannon. Carl Hazelton seventh from Julian Morris and Mark McCulloch. Simon Ruffle Ward in 10th. Confirmation, William Heslop got the fastest lap on lap 10. Scott Adams next from Ashley White, Ollie Coles and Stephen Shaw.
Final race this season I can sum up in one word: nail-biting.
Yeah, it was very close. He got the slip. I made a little bit of a mistake on the very first lap, so I lost a little bit of time. But I knew back from Snetterton when his tyres will start to go off towards the end, so as long as I keep smooth and consistent and keep the gap, I know I'll start to improve and get a little bit quicker as he starts to drop off. Go up over hilltop. I was right on his bumper. He went over defensive, and I thought I think I can outbrake here, so I left the brakes really late. And went all the way around the outside. I managed to make the move stick. It was a bit tight, the last section coming up through Druids. Yeah, it was a good race.
Some great highs and lows. Overall, fantastic achievement. Well done.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Fantastic race there, and your pace increased towards the end of it.
Oh, good. Well, I didn't know that. Getting familiar with the track. I guess trying to follow Ben and Will around, to be honest with you. I think they've done a bit of testing and know where they're going, so just follow their lines, brake where they brake, and see what happens.
Great day overall for you with the podiums.
Yeah, well, Ian was telling me it's the first weekend that this car in 2 seasons has had 2 podiums in a day, so we're really happy.
And your summary of the 2019 season?
Summary. It's been fantastic. I would do it all over again tomorrow.
Well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Ben McLaughlin, our champion for Porsche Centre Bournemouth. Second position goes to the Wolverhampton teaming of William Heslop and Christian Short. Third in the championship, Cambridge, James Cannon and Paul Blakesley. Fourth goes to Bolton, courtesy of Josh Morris and Mike Thompson. Wayne Minogue and Ashley White in fifth, ahead of the Wilmslow car of Alistair Nelson and Sam Beckett. A great season of classic resto racing in 2019, our second season of the championship. We're looking forward to year 3 in 2020. Thanks for your company this year. We look forward to it again in 2020.